That's it. I just jump scared my cat. Oops. Sorry, Mabel. Yes, this is a very cat-oriented podcast. This could just be a cat podcast and I'd be happy. Hello everyone, my name's Allie. Welcome back to my channel, Prairie Purl Knits. This is my knitting podcast where I talk about my knitting. And yeah, today is going to be a little bit less full than the last episode, which I do want to say thank you guys for watching the last episode. I did mention this in my full knitting plans video that I posted last week, which if you haven't seen that, go watch it. There's a lot of really pretty patterns in there, but the last podcast did decently well. So thank you guys for watching that. If you guys came from that video, thanks for subscribing. And I'm glad to have you here. I just kind of want to build a little community here to have people to talk about knitting with, because there's really no one in my life who knits. So it'd be nice to have someone to talk about it with, you know? Like, gets what I'm talking about. My friends and my family are really good at listening to me talk about it, but it's hard for them to like truly engage because they don't know anything about what I'm talking about. Like, I can't mention certain designers and have them understand who I'm talking about. So it's nice to like feel like people are at least watching this. And if you guys want to like leave a comment or something, have a little conversation in the comments, that'd be great. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the video. I have 4 projects to discuss with you guys today, one of which I'm wearing, and I'm really happy about that. And then I have 3 works in progress that we'll get into, and then 1 acquisition at the end, which will probably be my last acquisition for a while. Yeah, I think that's everything that I have to cover. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I am wearing / my finished object for this episode, and that is my Autumn Alpine sweater by Caitlin Hunter. Now, I started this on July 22nd, I believe, and I finished it about a week ago. So it took me, I believe, 37 days to knit this, which it is a sport weight sweater. It is a 24 stitch gauge with a colorwork yoke. So personally, I feel like that's a really good time. Like, knitting is not a race at all, but I did really want to have this finished for fall, and it was done before September started. It is currently September 3rd right now, and it was finished last Wednesday. It was starting to be blocked. And I love this sweater so much. It is very comfy. It grew a decent bit in blocking, especially the sleeves. When I was finished knitting the sleeves, they're probably hitting about like here-ish on my wrist, unless I kept pulling them down. But I was like, it'll block out. It'll be fine. And crazy enough, it did block out. And now, like, when I'm like relaxed, it hits like here on my arm, which is fine, because then when I'm like moving my arms and it kind of comes up a little bit, it just still hits like a normal bracelet length, which I like quite a bit. But I still get that cozy sweater pause moment, you know? So either way, I love the sweater. I do think I need to add an elastic in the neckband because it does have a tendency to stick up a little bit. You can see my t-shirt underneath. But it does have a tendency to stick up a little bit, so I think I might get some elastic to thread into the collar just to keep it a little bit more cinched around my neck. And yeah, I have no real complaints about the sweater. I knit pretty much all of it to pattern. The only thing that I modified was the neckband and the ribbing. In the original pattern, the ribbing is this specific ribbing motif, and it is charted in the pattern, but I just thought that would be a little bit more dressy than I was going for. I wanted something that I could just throw on, and this is something that I can very much just throw on. I was told by the woman who works at the yarn store that I bought this from that Sonder Yarn Co. had done a version where they did a 2x2 rib instead of the charted ribbing in the pattern, and I looked it up and I was like, I think that's going to be a better fit for me, so that's the one that I chose to do. And I have no qualms about doing this at all. It was frankly a lot easier than having to do more color work and another chart and a lot more purling. So I like this. I think this was a good choice for me. Now I knit this on 4mm needles for the color work and then 3mm needles for the stockinette portion. And I think the recommended needles in the pattern are a 3.25mm or a 3.5mm. I cannot remember exactly what it is, but I know that for my color work I had to go up to a 4mm to get the right gauge. And then for my stockinette was not wanting to cooperate at all. It did not want to be nice to me, and I kept getting like 20 stitches per 4 inches instead of 24 stitches per 4 inches. And so I just said, I'll do 3mm needles. If it's a little bit baggier beyond the color work, then I guess it will be a little bit baggier beyond the color work. And I'm very grateful to come back and report that I only ended up with like 2 extra inches of ease than the size I knit in the pattern, which is a size 4. So the size 4, I believe, is supposed to be a 48-inch finished circumference, and the size 5 is a 52-inch finished circumference, and I ended up with 50. So it's still like within the reasonable range of me being happy with it. And the funny thing, even though my gauge was larger, and I knit a size, I guess when I think about it, I guess if you knit with a larger gauge, you're going to use less yarn. But I tell you, I have a full like skein. I have 170 grams left of this yarn. That's enough to do something. It's 350 meters per 100 grams. So for me to have 170 grams left is quite a bit. So the yarn that I used is Juniper Moon Farm Patagonia. And I used the colorways Boysenberry, which is this really pretty purple, and then Pearl, which is obviously a white color. Now, I have a skein and a half left of this, and I have 26 grams left of the white. I only got 1 skein of the white. So I sewed enough to make an autumn Alpine bloom, or is it Alpine bloom hat? Autumn Alpine hat. I can't remember. I know she did make a hat version of this motif, which I don't have enough yarn to make that, so I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Frankly, it's just going to sit in stash until I figure it out. But it is more than enough to do something with, like way more than enough to do something with. So I'm not going to get rid of it. I've been holding it upside down. Oops. But I will hold on to it and hopefully eventually find something to use it for, because I do really like this yarn. It is quite drapey, even though it is a merino, but it still has that like good structure to it. So I like it, and it blocked out really nice. So my color work tension itself is okay. There's like mild puckering, but you can't really tell looking at it. I can just tell feeling it that there's some sections that are a little bit more puckered than others, but I don't really know how to fix that because I feel like my floats were quite loose. So maybe my floats were just too loose. I don't know. If anyone like knows, please let me know, because I don't know what I did to have still that puckering, because like I was so like adamant about making sure my stitches before were stretched out and my floats were not going to be too tight. I don't think it's that bad or like that big of an issue, because I don't think like I can't tell looking at it that I have any sort of puckering issue. So I think it's fine. But yeah, overall I really love this sweater. I'm going to be wearing it so much. I do have to wear a t-shirt under it, as I've mentioned, and I don't have an issue with that either. I usually wear like a t-shirt or something under a sweater, because in case it gets like really warm, if I go into a place or a building that is for some reason very warm, it's nice to have something underneath so you don't have to burn. But yeah, I love the sweater. I will be wearing it constantly. It feels a lot more casual than the one in the pattern pictures, and I think that's just because of the ribbing modification. So yeah, I'm really excited to have this done, especially for autumn, and I'm very excited to add it to my sweater collection that is ever growing, because I have 2 new sweaters that I cast on since the last video. Oopsies. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is not a sweater whip, it is my sock whip. That seems to never want to end. Oh my god, I feel like I've been knitting this for about 20 years, but I don't have interest in working on a sock right now because I'm too busy working on my sweater. This is very much like, oh, I'm going for a long drive, I want something to knit. But when I'm doing those long drives with something to knit, I only have like 30 minutes of actual knitting time in me, being willing to do. So I don't actually get that much done, though I have made some level of progress since I last spoke to you guys. This is my late autumn sock, and there's no pattern for this. It is just 2x2 broken ribs, so it's 2 rounds of stockinette and 2 rounds of knit 2 purl 2 ribbing. I did 2 rounds of knit 2, well, not 2 rounds, 20 rounds of knit 2 purl 2 ribbing for the cuff, and then I went into that broken rib pattern, and I did a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. And yeah, I do really like how these are working up, though. I think the fade is great. This is Zauberball Crazy in the colorway Late Autumn, hence Late Autumn socks. It is my first time using Addy Flexi Flips, and I am enjoying them so far. It will not replace Magic Loop, but it was nice to have, and I think also it'll make knitting socks 2 at a time or in tandem a lot easier, because Sometimes I don't want to do 2 at a time on magic loop, and I think having one on these and one on magic loop might be the move. I'll have to see what my tension is like though. But I do really like the way that the fade is working up. I love the way that the red just kind of ended up all on the heel, so it kind of looks like a contrast heel, even though it wasn't intentional. So yeah, I think these are going to fit great, and they're very autumnal, so part of me wants to just grind these out soon and finish this sock, because I feel like the second sock is going to go faster, because I'll already be motivated having done the first sock. But yeah, I don't think I have like a crap ton left to go, because I only need 8 inches here, and that's like 6 inches, so I really only have like 2 inches left of the foot before I'm hitting the toe. And then the toe I can do in an evening, so I'm not like too stressed about these being done. I'd be surprised if these weren't done by next podcast episode, honestly. So at least this sock, the first one. So yeah, that's my current sock whip. Hopefully sock half FO next episode, but we'll see about that. Though I talk like these have been on the needles for like 17 years, these got cast on at like mid to end July, and September just started. So it's actually not been too long. Just, I know I can knit socks faster than this, so I've just been so busy working on my sweaters and like trying to finish this and working on those new sweaters, because I am obsessed with them and I want to knit them so bad. So I don't know, one day these will be done, and when that day comes, it'll be a great day. So my next project is a sweater that I cast on with my Calgary acquisitions from my last episode, and it is sitting in my Ancient Arts tote bag, the cat tote bag that I love so much. And it is my Un sweater by November Knits. Now, I have some irks about this pattern, but I'll show you guys the project first. I didn't even have this cast on last time I spoke to you guys, so maybe I've made too much progress. But I have split for sleeves fully, and I'm probably like halfway through what I'm actually going to knit for the body, if not a little bit more than halfway. Yeah, I'm probably like close to splitting for the split hem. But this is my Un sweater, which is just a simple raglan with like a very deep split hem that I think is really cute and contemporary. So I love this. This is yarn. I have a hanger right here. This is Yarn Citizen Unity Worsted in the colorway Graphite. I got this from Stash Needle Lounge, that's what it's called, in Calgary when I was there a couple weeks ago. And I do really like this yarn. It's very easy to work with. I think I compared it to like an acrylic last time that we spoke. It feels more like a wool cotton blend, I think, because it definitely has that like a little bit of rustic quality where it's not rustic, it's just like smooth and crisp, I guess. But it's not crisp in the way Sandus Garden Sunday is, in the way it feels dry. It's crisp more in the spin is really tight, and the yarn itself doesn't have like a crap ton of fuzz. It has some, but it's not like super fuzzy, but it feels more like a cotton merino blend rather than acrylic. I was thinking about that after I stopped filming, and I was like, why did I say acrylic? That feels not accurate. But I did do this. Now I do have some short rows in the back. The short rows are, it's like what, an inch and a half ish of short rows, and then you do your raglans, and that's pretty much it. My modification that I've made so far, one, I did 2 extra rows in the yoke because I thought I wasn't gonna have enough yoke depth, and I don't think I necessarily needed those 2 rows, but I'm still glad I did them just to give me a little bit more room. I did a little bit of if and around with the raglan stitches, but when you split for sleeves, you're supposed to work all the raglan stitches. I worked all with the last one, and then I cast it on, I think, how many extra stitches do I have cast on under the arm? Let me count here. It looks like I just cast it on 1 extra stitch under the arm. I would have cast it on 2 extra stitches. I don't know what happened there. I'm gonna be so honest. But either way, I did cast on, I think, like 2 extra stitches under the arm to still let me have the same circumference around the bust that I would have if I had worked all the raglan stitches, yes, as a part of the body. And then I did decide to continue the ribbing down the side of the body, and I'm having to do some like funky math here because the way the numbers work out is I have to do knit 2, purl 2, rib, but 2 of the purl ridges had to be a single purl instead of a purl 2, and so now that I'm getting towards where I'm going to split, I did increase and add an extra purl. You guys won't be able to see this at all. I don't know what I'm trying to do. But I did have to go ahead and increase. So I have 2 purls, but I do also have to increase so I have 2 knits on either side of this blue stitch marker in the middle. That way when I go to do the split hem, my ribbing will flow directly into the ribbing of the split hem. And so hopefully it works out right. If I need to finagle some stuff, I will. I'm not too stressed about that. The only reason I decided to do this was because I saw someone on Ravelry do it and I thought it looked really good. So I decided that I was going to steal that idea and do it myself. So I'm going to keep working on this and stuff, but generally it's going smooth. The yarn is pretty thick. It is a worsted weight yarn on 5mm needles, 4mm needles, what is it? 5mm needles. And I'm knitting size 4 or 5. Pretty sure 5? Possibly 4, but I'm pretty sure it's 5. And so it's going really fast because it's, I think, like a 16 stitch gauge. So it's quite a thick gauge, and the yarn is very slick. It likes to run off my needles quite a bit and just makes it, the knitting process, very fast. Now, my gripes with the pattern. I didn't want to have issues with this pattern, but it is, like, I can understand it because I've knit sweaters before, and I have a knowledge base of sweater construction, and I know what I'm doing. But there's certain things in this pattern that I'm like, if you've never knit a sweater before, this would be horrible to start out with. You would have so many mistakes that you didn't know were mistakes, because based on how the pattern's written, are not mistakes. But if you have common sense with sweater knitting, you know they are mistakes. But the main, like, problem that I first encountered was for the short rows, you're working flat. So you'll be working, you start here, you're beginning around here, and you're like, you work this way, turn, work this way, turn, work this way, back and forth, right? Now, when you're doing that, you are also increasing for the reglans. Now, when you're doing that, you need to work the increase that is going to give you the right fabric. So when you're doing a make one, you're making a knit stitch on whatever side of the fabric you're working on. So if you're working on the wrong side of the fabric, the inside, like, purl bump section, if you're making a make one on that side, on the right side of your fabric, it's going to present as a purl stitch. In the pattern, it doesn't specify between make one purls and make one knits. And in every other pattern that I've ever worked, it will tell you to do one or the other. This pattern, it doesn't. And I was like looking at the project pages and the pattern sample, and I was like, is this just what it's supposed to be like? And in the project sample, you cannot see it. It's not there. Like, the purls, the increases were clearly done properly. So why they're not properly written in the pattern is so bamboozling to me. Like, if you're working the wrong side of the fabric and you're having the increase on the wrong side of the fabric, you need to think about what that stitch is going to present on the right side. And you don't want to, if you're trying to have like a simple stockinette fabric, you don't want that stitch to present as a purl stitch on the other side and interrupt the knit fabric. So you would want to do a make one purl. And I don't understand why that's not put in the pattern. And I was like, again, like, it took me a few minutes to like really be like, okay, I don't think this is a me issue. I think this is a pattern issue, which is also so surprising because it's been tested and it's been knit by how many people? And I haven't seen anyone mention this. And I'm like, I think this is just something that should be in the pattern, which, like, it doesn't mean that this pattern's like holding your hand or something. It's simply just a different increase that you're doing. But you have to figure out what that is on your own. And if you've never knit a sweater before, you don't know those things. But this pattern looks very approachable. It is a raglan. It is not a compound raglan at that, even though I think compound raglans are much better than simple raglans like this. I think they fit much better, but still. But, like, it is a simple raglan with just a really easy deep split hem. It is such a simple knit. And if you don't know the difference between a make one and a make one purl, you're going to knit this pattern and you're going to have wonky looking short rows. And I can't get with that. So I would not recommend this pattern to someone who is like just starting out knitting. At least have like, I'd recommend at least having like 1 or 2 sweaters under your belt, or at least you have to know what a make one purl is. Because if you don't know what a make one purl is, you're going to have a really weird looking section of your sweater. And I just can't get with that. It's just like small things like that that really irk me in patterns. It doesn't have to hold my hand. It doesn't have to guide me through every little thing in extreme detail. But it's something as simple as like, just you're telling me to do the wrong increase that I need to do when I know it's the wrong increase. It's silly. And I don't like that. But I do like the sweater design, so I'm going to keep knitting it, and I'm going to have a really pretty finished sweater when I'm done. But, which it also does turn me off from like ever knitting a November knits pattern again, because clearly they're not very detailed or verbose, which for a lot of people, probably great. And I can get by, like it's fine. I can understand what she's trying to say. But if there's going to be small mistakes like that in the pattern, or just things that are overlooked or just assumed that you're going to know, if I come across another pattern by her and I knit it and all of a sudden it looks weird because she didn't explain something properly when it's like pretty obviously that it should be explained that way, I just don't want to deal with that. So I don't know, maybe I won't knit another November knits pattern again, but she does have some really cute patterns, so who knows. But also there's so many fantastic patterns out there that I don't necessarily need to knit another one by her if I don't like her style. I don't know, we'll see. Either way, this is my in sweater. I'm going to love the sweater. Do I love the pattern? No. Next up, we have something that I'm so excited to be knitting. Oh my goodness, and that is my Louder sweater by Rebecca Clow. I did cast this on after I filmed my fall knitting plans video, so it's actually been on the needles for a week, so I haven't done that much progress. But also this weekend I didn't work on it at all. I was hanging out with my boyfriend the entire time, so I didn't get much knitting done this weekend, but I did finish the back panel last night. So here it is. Now, this is a all-over cable sweater with a cable repeat that is quite memorizable, but also I know going to be tedious because it is cables every few rows, and thankfully all the cables are on the same row, so that's not a big deal, but still it is going to be a little bit tedious. I have had to drop down to fixed cables twice. I can't really tell where they are. Like, I know where they are because I've seen them, but I think if someone were just to look at it and not know that I had done that, they wouldn't guess. So this is a all over cable. It's a drop shoulder, but it is seamlessly knit in the round. So now when I go ahead and knit this next, I'm going to pick up stitches along this edge and knit the front section. I'll do that again over here, and then it'll have like a little fold over front section. I'll knit the neckline shaping, and then I'll knit the rest of the front panel, join in the underarm, and then knit the body. And I'm really excited to knit this and have it be done. I just have never had like a properly cabled sweater before, even store-bought, so I think having my first one be this really pretty knit, hand knit cable sweater will be super cute, especially in this color that I know is just going to work great with my hair and my skin. As someone who is quite the pale pasty lady and also ginger, not naturally ginger, I don't think I've ever said that on the pattern, my channel before. I'm not naturally ginger. I feel like I should make that known. I do dye my hair. I'm naturally blonde though, so that does still explain the paleness. But with this color, I don't want to cover my microphone. Like, hopefully you guys can still hear me with the microphone. But like that kind of like color combo with my skin and my hair, it's gonna be a serve, and I love it. So I'm really excited to keep knitting this. Now I'm knitting this in Felcolana Peruvian Highland wool in the colorway Time, which is 221, and this yarn is a lot softer than people made it seem online, and I have no issues working with it. I'm doing this on a 3.75 millimeter needle, which has starting to hurt my hands a little bit, especially when I'm doing the cable rows, because this is a worsted weight yarn. It is 200 meters per 100 grams or 100 meters per 50 grams. So it's like about a very heavy DK or a like slightly light worsted, but even then it's pretty much just a true worsted. And on 3.75 millimeter needles, it is kind of a lot. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm still hitting gauge pretty much exactly, and I think it'll fit great, but I think my hands are going to need to take breaks from this somewhat often, and I can't like zoom through it like I zoomed through my autumn Alpine sweater. That's just not likely and not probably going to be healthy for me. So this will take its time. I don't think it'll be done by the end of like, it might be, hopefully it's done by my birthday. This would be nice to wear on my birthday, perhaps. My birthday's at the end of October, so hopefully this will be done by then, but generally I'm not going to put pressure on myself to finish this super fast, especially because of the pain it causes my hand sometimes. So I'm really looking forward to having this though, and it's Rebecca Clow, the Craybea, so the pattern is fantastic. A lot of her designs are like very timeless, simple, kind of classic designs, but they do have something unique and quirky about them that is like a good design feature, but it's not something that in like 5 years we're going to look back on and be like, oh, that's ugly, or what were we thinking, you know? So I think her designs are just ones that I really gravitate towards. I have a stick season sweater. I have this on the needles. I have plans to knit an Afric, and I have plans to knit, I think, a couple other sweaters by her that she already has released, just in my head, swarming around. They're not concrete plans, but I would like to one day because, again, her designs are just some of my favorite that I've seen. So, yes, that is my louder sweater. I'm going to go ahead and put this back panel away so we can go ahead and talk about my one acquisition / future cast on plan. Now, my one acquisition that I have to share with you guys today is this. Now, I have more than 2 skeins of this. I have 16. This is Sanascarn Pure Ghent. This is in the colorway Off-White, I believe. It's 2523, and I will look up what the colorway is soon. I'm pretty sure it's Off-White. And this is, again, Sanascarn Pure Ghent. It is 91 meters per 50 grams, I believe. Yes. And it is 75% Norwegian wool and 25% Peruvian tweed from wool. This is one of the tweedy ones. This is going to be used for my Midland Cardigan redemption. If you were not here, which you probably weren't, but if you were, hello. I had like a project. It's actually right here. It's this green thing. I don't know if I'm ever going to frog it. Honestly, I might just try to felt it and like see if that would work. But that way I'd have to also finish the sleeves, and I don't know if I want to do that. Either way. It's going to be a Midland cardigan by Penrose Knits, and I had tried to knit one, and because I used a merino and yak yarn, which is not sticky at all and extremely soft, it grew way too much when I blocked it. I did a mid-project block just to see, and it was not good. It was not fun for me, so I put that away, and I decided one day I'll reknit it because I do still really, really, really want a Midland cardigan. I have loved the pattern since she like even started designing it a couple years ago, and now it's finally out, and I just want one so bad. So I wanted to pick a yarn that she specifically said would be a good substitution for the yarn that she uses in the pattern, and she did say that Pure Ghent would be a good substitution. So I picked up some Pure Ghent, and I also really liked this tweedy version of it. Whenever I'd go to my local yarn store and see this yarn, I always just like would look at the tweed versions and be like, I want to knit something with that eventually. And this Midland cardigan is it's gonna be so good on a tweed. I was watching, who was it? I can't remember her name. I'll link her down below anyways if I can remember. But she made a Midland cardigan and it's like super pretty hot pink color. And she did specifically say, like, I had just bought this, and then she was like, actually, well, I kind of want to knit one on a tweed. And I was like, so true, me too. It would be really good. So I got enough yarn of this to make myself one of those. I don't know when I'm going to cast it on, probably after my in-sweater. I will go ahead and knit with this and try to redeem myself with a Midland cardigan. I'm also debating doing a project vlog for that because I think it'd be kind of fun to do a little redemption moment, and who knows, we'll see. But yes, that is the yarn that I picked up. I will not have any more acquisitions for a while, probably. I just, should not be spending money right now. Currently in my unemployed era. Super fun, I'm not gonna lie. I love it so much. Either way, that's it. I just jump scared my cat. Oops. Sorry, Mabel. Mabel's just been curled up on my bed this entire time, and it's so cute and so sweet. She's just a little sleepyhead. Aren't you, little girl? I haven't shown Mabel on the podcast since my first episode, and now that I've had some more people join the videos, join the channel, maybe I should show you guys my little Mabel Bacon girl. Her name is Mabel Bacon. Miss Bacon. She's a little sassy pants sometimes, but I love her. Yes, this is a very cat-oriented podcast. This could just be a cat podcast and I'd be happy. But I love this little girl. She's a bit chonky now, and she's quite sleepy. So I'm going to go ahead and put her down. Either way, that is everything that I have to share with you guys today, I believe. I don't have anything else really to discuss. Sorry, this episode was a lot less than the last episode, but it is what it is. I I'm not going to force myself to do a crap ton of like buying and stuff all the time just to have things to show on the podcast. That seems really stupid. I'm not gonna lie, and kind of pointless and a waste of money. But yes, again, that is everything that I have to share with you guys. And please leave a comment down below what you guys were working on while watching this. If you guys were working on anything, any thoughts, if you guys have any fall knitting plans or whatever you want to share with me, feel free to like this video, subscribe if you're not already. And you guys can follow me on Ravelry at Alyssa is Bored, and you guys can follow me on Instagram at Prairie Purl Knits. I'm not super active on Instagram. I should probably get better at that, but I just don't always think about it, so it is what it is. But yes, hope you guys are having a great day, and hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night whenever you choose to watch this. And I'll talk to you guys in probably about another 2 weeks. I don't think I'm going to post another video in between now and then like I did last week. Bye, guys.